In this video, I'm going to cover the following: tricks on finding the right picture for a book cover using AI, a bit about branding a book cover and a book series, how to blend a photo from color to transparency, how to use a first cover in series as a template to make sure the other covers line up and are also a bit easier. But along the way, I will offer tips to beginners who will be creating a cover from scratch. And please remember to like the video and subscribe. So let's get going. As I've said in each of my videos, I use depositphotos.com as my royalty-free image source. But I looked high and low for a new picture of a beautiful older woman for my new book, Mother's Instinct, but I could not find one. Then I checked the other sites and found that most of the pictures were of glamorous young women in sexy poses, or they were slightly older women, but they were too candid in the shots. So after striking out at depositphotos.com and a couple of other sites, I decided to give Leonardo.ai a chance. So I came to Leonardo and started to prompt to find a beautiful Latino woman. And to my shock and surprise, it actually produced a very realistic looking Latino woman that I used on my third book, Murder at the Car Wash. So let's take a look at what AI produced in the next scene. Okay, so here I went back in my history to find the original pictures that Leonardo produced when I asked for a woman. And as you can see, the first one is absolutely gorgeous, but she had a little bit too much makeup on for my book cover. So I kept changing the prompt a little bit, and it did begin to show women with a little bit less eye makeup until eventually it did bring a beautiful woman up that had very little makeup on. This was the ultimate picture. This one against the pinkish background. That's the one that I ultimately used for my book cover. So next, for this book cover, I put in a prompt for a older woman with blonde hair, short blonde hair, and it brought up these pictures of sort of a girl with a pixie haircut. She's way too young for what I wanted. So I eventually put in pictures of Sharon Stone and Meg, I forget her last name right now. You'll know who I'm talking about, Meg, the movie star. And it started to get a little bit better. So these came up, and then once I saw the pictures, the face was perfect, but I decided at that point that I wanted the hair a little bit longer. This one looks very, very similar. This one on the right-hand side looks very similar to Sharon Stone, but it is a different picture. But anyway, this is the picture that I ultimately used for my cover, this one here. And so she's perfect. She doesn't look too young, not too much makeup. She looks very natural and realistic, and she works with the style of my covers. Okay, so I'm in GIMP now, and we're going to go over what you need when you decide to make a book cover. So in my last video, I went over branding and doing book covers in a series. That's in my playlist. And now I'm just going to talk about gathering the components and a few extra things about branding and series. So the first book in a series usually controls the design. So this is the first book in the series that I'm presently writing. It's Murder in the Sanctuary. Now, this has been released for, I don't know, a year or more, maybe a little bit more. And Amazon decided in the last couple of weeks that this woman laying on the ground has to go because it's objectionable. It's a murder story. The woman is just laying on the ground. There's no knife sticking out of her, but too much for Amazon. So I have to alter this, which is I'm going to do at another time. But anyway, this is the first book, so it controls where I have the author name, my background, and my series name. So this is the GIMP file, and if you look closely over here, all of the layers that I used to create this are still here. So when it comes time to now create the fourth cover for the new book, Mother's Instinct, all I need is my actual picture that I'm going to use on the front cover, because aside from the title, everything else is going to remain the same, including the background. But I just wanted to show you that if you are creating a book cover, new, and you don't have one to use as a template, so to speak, then you will need your background picture, whatever that might be. Now, this picture I purchased with you have tokens at Leonardo. Okay, and I did pay for them to remove the background, but of course, this is their idea of removing the background. So this long, narrow thing here has to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove that. I'm going to duplicate the layer and turn this one off, and then go in close with my, let's see, I think what I'll use for this will be the path tool, and that'll be a new technique. I'll show you how to remove the back with the path tool. So what I'm doing is I'm going around her hair here, okay, and then I'm going to come up and go all around this monstrosity here that they left. And right before I connect these, I'm going to click on Control, okay, and then I'm going to come up to Select and then put From Path. Now I have to make sure that there is an alpha channel. Yes, there's an alpha channel. And the reason I'm checking for an alpha channel is you need to have an alpha channel in order to erase to transparency, which is what I want to do. So now that I have selected this area, I'm just going to hit my delete button, and that will remove the background. And then I come over to the move tool and just click off. Actually, I better go to select and then none. And then that ends that. Okay, now the next thing I have to do is to fade the bottom, because in the book covers, the woman fades into the background, and this gives way for me to have a clean place to put the title. So I'm going to do that now. So on this same copy, I'm going to click and put I'm going to right click and put add layer mask. And then white, I want yes. And then my foreground color is black. That's important too. Then I'm going to click on my gradient tool and make sure this is going from foreground to transparency. Okay. And then I usually have to guess which way I have to go. Here we go. I got it on the first try. So I'll just pull this up and just fade out the bottom of the picture. And then now the picture is good to go. So what I'm going to do is export as, now let's see, Mother's Instincts. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to make this number 4, and I'm going to make sure that I choose PNG, because remember, PNG is for transparency. If I choose JPG, it's going to put a white background on it, and then I'm going to be in worse shape. Okay, so export, and then, oh, I already have one for 4, so let me maybe put 5 here. Here we go. Export. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to open recent, so I'm going to open it up as its own picture, and as you can see, the bottom is now faded out. So going back to this picture here, I'm going to, let's see, take away this and the woman laying on the ground. And now this doesn't work when I'm filming, but let me see if I can get it to work. Let me see if I can do a copy. No. Copy. Let's see if this will do it. Here we go. Okay, so I copied it and pasted it. Now, normally I'm recording, and that's why it for some reason shuts off, but you can drag it from where it is here over into this picture. And what I would do here is use the scale tool and just make it bigger so that it fills the space. And then in the series, the girl is a little bit off to the left. So I just want to make sure that it's in the same spot as my original one. So I'm going to click on Fiona, and it is. I'm just going to move it over just slightly. Okay, there you go. Okay, and then what I would do is I would go here, the author and the background and the series name are going to stay the same. So I would just go in and change this to 250. 250. This was, I noticed that this was 250. Okay, and now this is not the proper color. So let's get the proper color here. I'm using the eyedropper. Okay, so let's do this. There we go. Okay, and then I don't need this one in this copy. And where's Sanctuary? This one here, for some reason, is going back to white, which I don't want. Okay. Whoops. Mother's instinct. So let's see where. Now, because this one and this one, I'm going to lock these two. Because this title is less words than the last one, I'm going to move it down. So I have locked these two together, linked them two together. So I'm going to use the move tool and just move this down a little bit. Then I have to unlock them because I can tell that they are not centered. So let's click on the alignment tool. This is relative to the image. So let's click on this one. No, this mother's one here. Mothers. And then the same thing on instinct. There we go. So then that would be the book cover for book 4. Now I've already made the book cover for book 4, so I'm not going to save this. But anyway, that is how you do the book cover after you know what design you're going to use. Now I've already gone over some of the other techniques in my GIMP videos. So if you want to know a little bit more about using this program, which is very easy and it's totally free, then you can check out my my YouTube GIMP videos playlist, and you can learn about all the different techniques that you need to know to make a book cover, which is not all of them. You can master this program as a book artist in very little time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to see my other videos. I have a playlist entitled GIMP for Authors and Other Newbies. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.